Hello everyone, I'm Annie Gibbins and you're listening to Memoirs of Successful Women, the podcast where you get to hear candid conversations with fascinating women from around the globe who share aspects of their business and life journey, how they measure their success and what they have learned along the way. Hello and welcome to Memoirs of Successful Women. Today you are in for a treat. I have Heidi Dugan, founder and director of Arete Group, chair of Auscham Shanghai and council member at University of Southern Queensland. This lady is absolutely incredible as a female entrepreneur. She's been the first foreign TV host to have her own show in China. So we're going to be talking a lot of things China, Chinese business today. She's got seriously 6 million fans. She knows how to sell $2 million worth of products in an hour and a half on an Oriental shopping channel. We're going to talk all things. How do you actually do that? How do how does an Aussie girl, she's a fellow Aussie like me, how does she actually find her way to China and become one of their go-to influencers and celebrities, all things health and wellness and food and beverage? Welcome to the program, Heidi.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here and talk to you.
So tell us a little bit about what do you do at the moment? How do you've got your own TV show in China. Probably what does that look like? And then we'll look at the backstory of how did you get there?
Yeah, so my show's been on TV now for 20 years and it's a daily show. It's a cooking show. We go to all of the hotels and restaurants and we get the chef to show me how to cook. And it's really about taking those expert skills and the understanding of food and gourmet and sharing that with our audience. And, as it's been on TV for over 20 years, we've really picked up such a massive following and it's really led a lot of brands and that to reach out to me because of the connection to food that the consumer sees me having. That is a great sort of in-market way for brands to connect with the consumer. But it's been a great ride and 20 years, it's like the longest standing foreign show on TV. And so we, before foreigners could even host on TV in China, I was a guest host, and it was through that then they applied for the ability to have a foreign TV host. And so I was the first to do that. And then much later, sort of, I got the when live broadcasting became a massive thing, got the license, and the only foreigner to have a license to be on national TV to do live broadcast, and that was with the shopping channel. And that was always fun. And of course, it was, for me, you probably get this, is that it was the most amazing experience because it meant that I could take my business, marketing, consumer knowledge, and I'd be standing there selling this product and convincing people to do it. And I've got all the numbers in front of me. I could see how many people were calling. I could see exactly what I said, that if people would jump online and start to order it. So it was, for me, this most exhilarating experience of bringing everything that I've got and actually testing it in front of me on a TV monitor that had all the data based on every single thing that I said. So that was amazing.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. I can just imagine it's kind of like, so don't wait, get it now. You've got, in the next 10 seconds, they could be gone. And then you just watch all the stats go up. Live feed analytics makes us funny nerd feel excited.
What was really funny, Annie, was it was never that sold that had the peak. It was always something like where I was eating an orange and it was like, oh my goodness, this is so good, it's so juicy, it's so sweet, and then it'd be like bam, and then everything. So it was really, that was the thing, is that it really gave me such an insight into the Chinese buyer, and that knowledge has really sort of, it's just helped me so much with my own brand and connecting with the consumer in ways that other people have not been able to do.
Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. And first of all, congratulations. Having any TV show anywhere in the world for 20 years is Like, seriously, that's pretty amazing. Anyone who's been in the showbiz world goes, you sort of year to year sort of situation. So first of all, amazing. And it's not surprising once you get that opportunity and you get that awareness and exposure, those followers, you can then pick up those other brands, so tell me about the types of brands, the types of companies who then reach out to you and go, you know what, you'd be a great influencer for our product, or how can we do business together?
Yeah. So, there's been so much that I've learned doing business here in China, and I've been here for 26 years from beginning to end. And it was really about that long-term plan of staying here and building my reputation throughout the period. So it was about the relationships that I started to really nurture. And when we were doing the show, there would be brands that would be advertising on the show. And there was such a big shift in the market, actually a lot earlier than I think in the West, definitely a lot earlier than in Australia, where a lot of things became online here in China. And we were very early sort of privy to this internet buying and this sort of social media thing. It was really so much really taken on by the Chinese. And so that's when I started to develop my own social media and my own presence and branding, which you weren't able to do in the past. You were always representing another brand, like, for instance, Swatch Watch or KitchenAid. A lot of those brands, I was ambassador for them and representing them on their platform. So it was really an opportunity for me to expand my direct connection with the followers, and they had never had that ability to connect with me personally. So social media was a wonderful way to do that, and I continue now to do, to share my life with them, but also to show them the brands that we use and the brands that I love, and we show how to use it and how to bring it into the Chinese lifestyle. And that's the thing, is that there's Chinese people selling Chinese things or Western things, but it's about having the bridge and about having that Western understanding of the product and then the understanding of a Chinese lifestyle, and then bringing the two together. And it seems kind of obvious, but it's very often not something that companies do. They don't really localize. And having my lived here for so long and having so many Chinese friends, and all people I do business with were Chinese, that I really understood that, and I learned that having lived in China. So that was something that was incredible. It's been very much a part of my growth.
Oh, I'm dazzled by that, because I just absolutely love women who just step out on their own and actually are brave enough to make themselves their own brand, to actually say, I represent, me, myself, and what I actually have as a value give to the market. And I'm also then able to then be an influencer, help you market your product. So that's it. It's a very big difference going from representing other products, and particularly big names. And often a lot of those names are, incredible products, but they don't have as much personality. They don't have they don't have as much to work with. If you look at women like you and I know we've just got to know each other, you've got that sort of more X factor. You've got chemistry, you get excited about things. You're like, oh my goodness, you're going to love this product for the reasons that you're tapping into for yourself or the customer. And to be able to get that relationship, I think that is always better if you can find someone who actually is able to sell that in an authentic way, rather than just representing, this is a great product, you should get it. It makes a very big difference to the consumer, I think.
Yeah. And, I think sort of, I'll be honest, I think sort of we call it a KOL here in China, a key opinion leader, influencer, blogger. They're all very similar, and they've really developed over the years. But, sometimes they can have this, oh, she's just a blogger, or she's just a this. But the thing is that this status that you create and this following that you create follows you. You take it with you. Yeah. So whether you're working for another business and then you change job, you continue take this with you and build on it. And I think that as actually just as an entrepreneur, every business that I work with, I share what I do and they share what they do. And it means then the next company reaps the benefits of everything that I've done in the past.
Yes.
And that's where I think that, and that's really the relationship building, making sure that you share the growth and the win, because then you can take it when you're working with other companies. And we've always been, of that mindset. If it's a win-win situation, we know that that win will be exponentially much bigger than anything that I could do on my own.
I love that thinking, and those listening in should really take note. This is a real gem that we're talking about here, that your value increases as your experiences with all of these different brands, different consumers. So while you might think it's a little contract job here or there, whatever, they're all building on each other. So the breadth of experience and knowledge that you have and those relationships across markets are so valuable that your dollar value on the market for people to work with you increases, because you can go, yeah, I've seen it work here and there in different ways, and you're across all of that, which is so different to someone who knows something theoretically or is happy to be paid to support something publicly. I love the way you have done that. So let's take the listeners back to the beginning of your career then. What made an Aussie girl end up in China 26 years ago?
So my background was in acting, and then I got the opportunity. It was actually my father that said, "Oh, wouldn't it be interesting to go to China to learn about international trade?" And so I was like, it's really not something that I want to do, but it is halfway there, because I wanted to go to the UK and the US and do acting. So I was like, halfway there, and I thought that it would be an amazing experience just for me as a person. So I was actually in Wuhan, which is in the center of China. You might have heard the Three Gorges. So it was, pretty much there were no foreigners there at all at the time. And it was whilst I was studying there that I came to Shanghai. And of course, Shanghai at the time was just this, haven of, just beauty. And it was also had restaurants that I could go to that were actually, had foreign food, very different to what it is now. But so then I came to Shanghai and I got offered a job, and the first one was in real estate, so I just sort of understood the city. But then quickly after that, I was working with the TV station and helping build up the show. So it was, it's been an amazing ride. And then after sort of the station, as I said, we sort of started working with other brands, and then also working with a lot of, I love business, and I've always sort of been someone that's continued to educate myself. And so I did a lot of work with some of the Fortune 500 companies where I'd work with senior management and localize. They come into China and help them localize their strategy, and how they work with the team. So I did a lot of that work with BP for the whole of Asia, helping them in their leadership training and how to speak, how to talk, how to sell something, how to sell themselves, how to sell an idea. So it all, people often sort of go, you've done so many different things and you still do a lot of things, but how does it all come together? And I think that, the whole thing is about just, presenting myself and then helping companies expand, including my own, expand in this market.
Yeah. And often it's when you're just showing up in one space, just actually doing that, and someone else is watching. And I think we never realize how many people are actually watching. I know even you coming on my program, you are watching, you're thinking, I want to be on Memoirs. And so you just don't know. And so some of these like big companies, like BP, suddenly to go, we want that lady because she's obviously doing it. It's not just a knowledge. It's actually you're applying it and you're getting great results there. You've also then partnered up with the Shanghai government, I hear, and the women's associations to now teach and train, women, particularly about health and nutrition and parenting. And, that's right, more and more areas in your portfolio. How have you gone about doing that? Why is it important to you? And how do you constantly become equipped to always be able to share more?
Yeah, so I mean, the whole idea behind everything that I'm doing is I just want to make people's lives happier and healthier. And so, with that sort of goal in mind, how I get there has always been very flexible. But one thing I do know is, having lived in China for so long, is that relationships are everything. And so, whether it's a relationship with a consumer or relationship with the government for the support, and they always come hand in hand. So it was really through one of my partnerships with another woman who had set up a company called Chef Mama, and I joint ventured with her. And then we then went to the Shanghai Women's Association and pitched a massive job where we wanted to help change and help bring out these the women that were at home, and also bring back that sort of the nuclear family, and make the family more sort of surrounding the mother, actually. And it was something, like a lot of things here in China, we need to be very aware what the government movements are. And so at the time we knew that it was a government push to be able to focus on the female. And so we did a number of really large events where we worked in massive shopping centers, and we had the whole ground floor, and we did nutrition, health, modeling, kids shows. We just sort of did everything. And then it was from that, then the local district women's associations would then reach out to us. And so it's just been an ongoing working with them in the different districts, talking to them about how to feel confident in themselves and how to make decisions based on how they're feeling instead of that external noise, and how to parent, or how to elevate themselves within whatever it is they're doing, whether they're working with someone else or they're trying to create their own company. So it's been really interesting, and I think that they're the sort of things for me that have made it much more, they're the sort of things that makes it much more special, because you get to have that one-on-one contact, and you learn so much from them, but you also get that instant impact when you see the lights sort of switch on. You see that maybe you've just helped someone in a in a special way, and doing that, then there's all the support that we need to give them. And that's where the social media, and then we look at all the different brands. Is this good for them? Isn't this good for them? And then we promote them through what we do. So it's really sort of come together very nicely.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. What is it like being a woman then working in, I'm assuming a lot more male dominated environment? It's obviously got a lot of rules, specific rules relevant to China. And so what is it like? Do you have to tread carefully? Do you have to be careful? Or do you actually feel like, no, I'm pretty well known, pretty well respected. I get to just be high?
I have absolutely the luxury of that, is just that I am who I am. I have, actually what a lot of people don't realize is that in China, that especially in Shanghai, it's very equal. As a matter of fact, the Shanghai businesswoman is one to be feared. They are very good at what they do. And so I have never, just in the 26 years that I've worked here, whether it be on TV, with business, or anything like that, that I've been completely supported by everyone. And, it's just, I don't ever go into, we're talking sort of, this is very much a platform for women, but I don't ever think I'm a female entrepreneur. I just think I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the chair of Auscham. Like, I don't sort of think I'm the female, or things like that.
Isn't that great? That's where we should be.
Yeah.
Here you are in China saying that, whereas I'm in Australia thinking you're a lot more, progressive, and we are still championing that,
Yeah.
That's incredible to hear. I'm actually floored.
And I think a lot of people are, the only thing that I do get is, and this is more a fact that I'm a foreigner than anything, is that they always call me the Western wife, as in, and you can get the same thing as a Western husband, so that people sort of understand that it's a mixed marriage, and the other one is that they often, when they sort of put my title, they'll put a lot of and then they put mother, and that has been very much because I do a lot of parenting TV shows, and a lot of people have been very interested in my parenting, my lifestyle, and things like that. But I have to say, whenever they do that, I go, we'll just pull that off. because I don't know anyone that puts down father. So there are certain things like that that I think is more because they've loved that about me that they've put that in. But for me, I sort of go, how is that? I get it, but no.
How is that relevant? Yeah, it's all right if it is for a PR perspective. Like if you are doing, that's right, a women or parenting type program, then mother of so many, all of that. That's for a specific reason. But actually, if it's not for a quality,
no, if it's a business thing.
No.
Yeah, but that's generally not the local Chinese that will put that. It's more the sort of that they're being more sensitive of the foreign part of me. So I am very fortunate that I've I should say grown up. My business growth has been in a city in a country which has not sort of seen me as really as a foreigner and really also as a woman. They've just seen me as a person that's been successful and that is good-hearted and friendly to whoever it is that I meet.
So you've been there so long, and they still call you a foreigner, though. Are you always a foreigner? Just because? No. So you actually feel part of Chinese culture, community, and they go, you are a kind of foreigner, but you're one of us.
Yeah. So the last, it's not uncommon for a Chinese person, if they're referring to a foreigner, to go, those foreigners, or they're a foreigner, and they're sort of putting me on the side of the same as what they're on. It's like, they're a foreigner sort of thing. So I've really, I think, sort of bridged that. They don't sort of go, she's a foreigner. What they sort of see is, oh, Heidi understands us. Maybe we can use her to help that understanding because of her physical attributes, that, that she'll help with that connection. So it's really more than that. And vice versa with brands, they also get it, that I do have an understanding of foreign products and Australians, but that I also know how to stand on that side and help them, especially in business, to understand what that local implementation is from that point of view. So it really is kind of, standing with two legs in both parties. So, it's really lovely because you can choose at times which one you want to be.
Yeah, it's best of both.
Exactly.
So those young women who are listening in and are at that stage where their dad's gone and said, hey, go to China and do foreign trade, or, even though you might not even have the language, just plop yourself in the middle of Shanghai. Is that still a good idea? Your career has just become very, very successful, amazing. And but is it actually quite easy to do? What are the biggest challenges for someone thinking, you know what, I wouldn't mind doing, doing a different lifestyle or different opportunities? There's obviously a lot of business to be done.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I mean, I think for me, this was never the goal. My goal was always to be successful. As we've talked about, world domination was always, well, of course, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So I think the thing is that when you know yourself really well and you know what you're good at, and it's much easier to make decisions very quickly. And so that's the thing for me, is coming to China, people sort of go, oh my God, you're a real adventurer. And that, I've never seen myself as an adventurer at all. Like, there are very strategic reasons why I made the decisions that I've gone. And I think that, I look at your life and I sort of see such a similar thing, is that, if you plan success in 2 to 3 years, it's very difficult. And the decisions you make, because you want to get there in 3 years, are generally not good decisions, or they're not going to be the right decisions. And so I think the thing is that when you plan a life of success, you're always on that. And it also, and that this has been a very Chinese thing too. You see, governments do 5-year plan or a 1 or 2 year while this certain person is in government. Whereas you've seen the Chinese, they do 50-year planning. Yeah. And that's why you have that ongoing success. But what you also have is that when it goes up and when it goes down, you can ride it out. You know that is part of it. And I think that any entrepreneur that is really at heart an entrepreneur will make good decisions for today that will last for 20 years. And that's what I've always done, is made decision. It might be hard today, it might be easy today. None of that matters. It's what is right for me and the person I am, who I want to grow into, and what business I want to become in 20, 30 years.
I think that's brilliant advice to the listeners, because absolutely, I often get just completely amazed by most governments. If you actually look at how they operate, they're all on a 3-year cycle. So you're never going to get anything amazing. You're always going to be limited. And then a bit of that is, the wind up, they'll take a while to sort of, because they want to save some good rewards till a little bit later, or till they need them, and so forth. Whereas successful business people, or even just people successful in life, actually do create those long-term visions, that you might not know that you would be in that position where you are now. But if you 20 years ago went and said, well, I just want to have be making it really big in my own way, just stepping out in my own presence, being authentic as Heidi, doing business, I love acting. So therefore TV sounds pretty good. I'm selling things, I'm in my element, then you're leaning towards that dream in those stepping stones. And I'm assuming, because all of us usually have times that you actually have to go, well, I'm going to have to pivot a little bit here. I've got a challenge, I've got a block, I'm going to have to make some other decisions. So sometimes, have you had to go around? Have you sort of thought, I thought that was so easy, that's a hard one to get?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's why, the two things is the goal never changes, but how I get there, could change, within an hour or 2 hours. And that's why I think it's important to stay flexible in the decisions that you make. But it's who you are is how you make those decisions. When you are deciding on, is it the right decision? It's based on who I am being at that point. And so I think that, I've always got the goal, but the guiding sort of, I suppose, rudder is who I am. And maintaining, like, I won't take on a client that, I just don't like. I won't do something I just don't like because of money, because I know that that's not going to get me to where I need to go. So there are things like that that are really guiding principles for me. And I think that it's meant that I've loved everything that I do. I mean, wow, such an enjoyment. It's not about getting there. And of course, I'm very clear I'm going to, get there, and perhaps have gotten there 1,000 times over already. But it's about, I want to love what I'm doing. I want to be in my zone and, create the life. And that's what I think is, it's more about, I am creating the life, and that changes constantly. So, but that's really what it's about. And that for me is what's exciting. And, I really want to share with your listeners is that just having the confidence just to make your own decisions is the most important skill I think you can have, and being quite decisive about it. Not sort of going, oh, this, again, with mine, I had 2 children, and it wasn't an option. If I'm doing TV and that, or I'm teaching or doing training, it was that if you want me, my kids need to come with me if I'm flying somewhere, if I'm going somewhere, and that's it. If you can't do that, that's fine. I'm clearly not as much value as I, would like to be. But, that was why all my customers, I put in so much effort, but I could do that because I knew that my first priority, my family at the time, was looked after. And that was a hard rule that I had with them growing up. So there are things that I think that we can be very much more decisive and much more, this is how it's going to be, and it will succeed because I'm going to create the path.
I'm hearing a lot of intentional action. Those in my coaching incubators, listen in here, because this is what I try to hone down, that you need to be intentional about your behaviors. And that, as you've just clearly shared, is going to be linking to your values. It links to who you are, links to how you want to show up as a mum, as a businesswoman. But it's complex and it's a package. And what I'm also hearing, as well as your intent, is also that the non-negotiables have to be very clear. Right. Yeah. So while we can aspire to all of these things, and I hope I get this amazing opportunity. And yes, it is really hard when sometimes you miss those because you've been not negotiable. There are tears over these things. We do go, oh my gosh, another world. Oh, that was my big break, but we suck it up. But other people also respect that too. They go and say, well, here's a mum who's fully
Absolutely.
committed. We can make it happen. We will. We still want Heidi. That's just the way it is, and we'll make it happen. And then, yeah, that's right. You actually can get more wins, I find, than you actually expect. You know, people think everything's always going to be a no, but not always. And why not ask at least before you make that decision?
You know, I have not been for any of that sort of thing. I was not turned down once. Not once. And that's the thing is that when you are so definite, and you know, it's not like, you know, being rude or anything like that. It's, you're absolutely definite in what and how you want to do it. People love it. They love that sort of, this person knows what they're doing. And then, you know, I know half the time I was doing some of my training is I wasn't even the speaker. They just bring me along just to be with the people. And that was the thing is that when you become and you take complete ownership, and it seems so difficult, you know, like when you look at it, and as you said, sort of very complex, but it's really not, you know. I just sort of think, you put your hand on your heart, is this what I want? Is this who I want to be? And then you make a decision.
Exactly.
And that's really, it can be that simple.
It can be that simple. Exactly. Once you take all the emotion out of it and all the reasons, you know, which are distractors and they're hard and they're challenging, but once you actually do make that decision, when it's the right decision, there's always no regrets as well. And that's what I love. You know, I look a lot back on my long life now, and, you know, there were decisions that I did. I stood firm and I backed myself, and there were others that I didn't, and I still regret them, you know. So the more empowered we can become as women, the more confident that we go, no, if this is important, it really is, and I'm going to have to make it happen. And there will be costs, you know. In your case, it worked every time. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't, but you'll get that, you know, you'll get more assured, self-assured in asking, making that, trying to make things happen for yourself, try to go for the wins, but ultimately you're comfortable in your own skin.
Absolutely. And that's just as you're saying, you know, I mean, that's where the ups and downs, you don't feel it as much because you're in the right direction, you know where you're going. So a down is not a down, you know, and that's why I sort of say is that, like, I don't have really regrets because I was always on the right path. And, you know, I have hard days, definitely, like many do. You know, we're in lockdown at the moment, and, you know, there are days where they're hard, but that doesn't stop me. And I think that's the thing is that it's not being stopped, and having that intention is like, yes, it is hard, and that's okay, you know. And then how do I create what I actually want?
I'm assuming in your world you've had to change quite a lot over the last couple of years during the pandemic, like all of us have. How can you share, what have you had to do differently? How has it affected the way you do business? Because you're a very public facing person, and then suddenly everything shuts down.
Yeah, I think, you know, we're so fortunate to do the online, and actually it's really funny because we've been locked down now for sort of 2 months, and it's been a hard lockdown. So it means we can't walk out, and everyone's going, oh my God, are you okay, Heidi? You know, how have you been? It was like, well, our business is bigger than it's ever been. And they're like, but how do you do all your videos? And it's like, you adjust. As again, I know where I'm going. I can still do videos. I'm good at doing videos. I can do them myself. The format might change slightly, but we're still doing them. We're still getting brands to send me things. And not only that, even more so now is there's always an opportunity in crisis or in any situation. You always see someone making money and someone not making money. And I think the thing is that whether it's people say it's a good time or it's a bad time, there's always someone making money. So for me, it's or succeeding, you know, and that might not be a monetary thing. And so for me, I'm always looking at where is the opportunity, you know, as we're going along within the structure of what we've got, where's the opportunity? And I want to make sure that I'm grabbing it as much as I can. And I've always had this saying that, you know, especially in the past, I was always doing things for everyone else. And, you know, I decided that instead of me jumping on someone else's bandwagon, that I would create my own bandwagon. And if it's good enough, then they can jump off on mine. And so that's really where I've sort of, I suppose I've built my business with this sort of funny sort of concept of, this is my train, this is my bandwagon, you can jump on, jump off. And I've been very strict with myself to make sure that it's my train. And I'm not, sometimes I might pop on someone else's if I know that I can grab everyone else or I can get some relationships or things like that. But this is my train. You can jump on or jump off at, whenever you want. So, yeah, that has meant that I've been able to grab a lot of different opportunities, and there are so many things that we can do now that we never really realized that we could do, like have meetings and interviews online, and as I said, videoing, things like that. We always find a way, and if not, then you pivot and you look at where the other opportunities are and you go for them.
Love it. What does the next 20 years then look like for you? You're a future planner, a strategist.
I am. So we now are just launching our new brand called Rise, and that is about sort of shining light on everyone else and helping others also shine that light. And it's a global brand that it's very much about, changing, helping people take that next step to change their life. And that could be in, again, health and wellness, also, business, parenting, but it's about sort of giving back control to our followers and our members, and helping them then light someone else's light, so that that there is a sort of a real ripple effect to helping other people. So that for us, we're launching that now in China, and that's is an offline event that we will be doing. We've got for our first event, we'll have over 500 people and a lot of brands coming on. But then, if we have to, we'll take it online. And it's also an online app where people will come in and they'll be able to sort of work within a community, but then also sort of take sort of they'll be able to see their progress and be able to see, learn very, simple things that they can implement into their life that can help them make the changes. So for me, that's a big thing. And, going to and from Australia and China, and then, I suppose giving also my kids a platform to start building their business. And my daughter's 17, and we're now working on a business for her and a future for her. So that's also something that's so exciting.
Oh, super exciting. I love what there's new opportunities with your own children. So you've raised up, been born and raised really in China then. So they would see that they would stay there permanently, like that's their life?
They see themselves very, very much as international kids, and so we've always spent July, August in Australia. During COVID, we actually came back and we were there for about 9.5 months. So every time we came back, the kids went to school in Australia. So then they came back. So they feel that there's a real that they're really kind of quite balanced between lifestyles. I think what I would like for them, and I think it is the case, is that they don't feel confined by the constraints of saying I'm Australian or I'm Chinese or I'm whatever, that they sort of think, well, where there are people that I can work with, then that's where they go, or that's where they build their business. So I think kids nowadays are quite fortunate in that really the world is their oyster. I mean, back in the day, it really wasn't our oyster, but
now you can do anything. It's like, that's right. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And just try and make it happen, right?
Exactly.
The world is a much smaller place now, that's for sure. And also just staying in close contact and in community. That's exactly it. Now that we're just so, virtual, even us having these conversations, but, families living in different places around the world, it is so easy to stay well connected. So how do people reach out to you to hear more about what you're doing and to hear about Rise? How's the best way to reach you?
So that, just like sort of any, they can look Heidi Dugan on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and also Facebook. That's where we're doing most of our work for international. If they have any connection to China, then, Heidi Zhongyang Shenghuo. So that's a Chinese Western lifestyle. They can search on all the social media, and we've got a massive following with that. Otherwise, they can just reach out by email to our, Heidi, HEIDI @HeidiDugan.com. So there are plenty of ways, and I just, thank you so much, Annie, for the opportunity to talk to you about me. I'm actually much more interested to have a chat about you. We'll do that another time. But
we'll have to do that in the next session. You can interview me on Memoirs of Successful Women.
Yes.
That could be a first. Why not? Let's do that. Let's do
There's some big things coming up for you, I can tell.
Oh, there's a lot of things in the horizon. You could be the first one to share. So that sounds absolutely awesome. Everyone listening in, I'll have all of Heidi's details on my podcast platform, on my YouTube channel. You'll be able to reach out to Heidi to ask her more about what she shared today. And just from the women and men of the world, congratulations to this amazing woman. Like, seriously, you have just inspired us on what is achievable from a young girl who arrives in a country and just makes it her life and her business, and has really, really just pioneered her own space. And I have just so much respect for women who, that's right, drive their own bus, their train, make it their own way, have their own path, and navigate real challenges, like serious challenges that will present themselves. But that can-do attitude, that mindset. I heard a lot of positive growth mindset, optimism, opportunistic sort of choices. And that's what it's all about for all of those people who get interviewed on this show. Of course, everybody check out the Women's Business Incubator if you're wanting to do a coaching program with me, if you're wanting to start up or scale up or learn how to dominate in business. Also, if you want to join the Women's Business Tribe, reach out to womensbizglobal.com and come along and join some time with me and my global tribe. So thank you for being on my program, Heidi.
Thanks so much, Annie.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Memoirs of Successful Women. You can find me at anniegibbins.com, where you can download my free resources, get connected on social, and check out my online magic transformation program. If you love this show, feel free to subscribe to future episodes, and of course, share it with your friends. I'll see you again soon, and until then, happy podcasting.